135 points in round 1, 136 points in round 2. The Panthers under-18s were overdue, a slice of luck, and all Coach Kim Cobb wanted was for his boys to be competitive. Well, in round 3 they were fresh out of luck and they were only competitive for one quarter. Well, that's better than nothing, but for the third week in a row the Panthers went down by over 100 points to secure themselves firmly to the bottom of the under-18 ladder, having already conceded nearly 550 points. The Hahndorf Oval provided a magnificent country backdrop for this fixture, and Michael Borden's Sturt team made the most of their Holy Thursday excursion into the Adelaide Hills. After fielding 6 first-gamers last week, this week all of the Sturt squad already had experience at this level, and it showed on the field. Harley Montgomery was again outstanding. He never falls over, and no matter how hard they try, no one can catch him. Out of his 31 disposals, 29 of them were effective. Now that's efficiency. And Harley was right at home in Hahndorf, having played most of his junior football just around the corner in Uchunga. He's been around Sturt for a while now, though, with a stint in the reserves last year and even a trip away with the under-16 state team a couple of years ago. It's only the large numbers of AFL-listed players in Sturt's squad keeping him out of the reserves this year. Coach Michael Borden's not complaining, though. At the front, the Henrys were scoring goals again. Henry Dupuy bagged another 6 goals under the lights, and Henry Voigt added 5 to the 6 he picked up at Alberton last week. And Dwayne Wilson's pace through the middle was unmatched. The Tigers had no chance of keeping up with the ambidextrous midfielder. And impressing the scouts visiting over Easter was Jack Penfold from Prince Alfred College. The co-captain roved magnificently. His pressure around the ball ensured the ball spent most of its time in the Sturt attacking zone, and that was most of the match. The Panthers did win the second quarter, and they did challenge around the clearances, with Brock Godwin not providing an escape for the Panthers on more than one occasion. But it's going to take a lot for South to escape this tomb, having lost their Easter road trip by 131 points to Sturt. If you wanted entertainment, you needed to look no further than the Norwood Eagles clash at the parade. With a few Eagles players lifted to the reserves, they were tested and they held their heads high with a very strong performance. But it was David Odie's Redlegs who took home the prize under the lights at Norwood Oval. Best for Norwood was one of their genuine under-18 players, Dan Williamson. From the Hope Valley Football Club, Dan is part of the preliminary state squad this year. He has some solid SANFL experience too, with half a season in the reserves in 2011. Of his 44 disposals, 36 of them were handballs. You are allowed to kick the ball, Dan. Another player big on hand passes was one of Norwood's overage players, Ben Viddick. He's finished with college football this year, having graduated from St Peter's, so he has a big chance to show his skills all year in the under-18s. It's just as well because exactly half of Norwood's squad of 50 will be leaving the team for college commitments after this match. One of them is Mitchell Wicks. He will be playing for PAC until July. In his last showing for the Redlegs, the small defender managed 21 kicks and 10 handballs on Thursday. But it wasn't all one-way traffic. Luke Dunstan left Clare for Henley High this year, and he very nearly didn't play this match. But he ignored the pain from a groin injury to record a staggering 50 disposals. His 29 kicks and 21 handballs, quite an amazing achievement. And then, of course, you have to add 14 marks to his stats. Incredible to think Luke was on the losing side this week. And the dynasties were on show too. Nathaniel Rigney's grandfather is Kevin Hill, a West Torrens legend. Nathaniel played his first game for the Eagles after they struck a deal to bring him over from North Adelaide. He certainly followed Coach Shane Grimm's instructions to the letter because his defensive pressure was outstanding. And also working hard in defence was the small man who thinks he's a big man, Nick Clift. The small defender refuses to acknowledge that most of his opposition are twice his size. At 5'4", it's no wonder he's always getting hurt. And it was the Eagles hurting most in the end, going down by 7 goals to Norwood. Also playing on Easter Thursday, the Bloods travelled to Elizabeth Oval with a team severely affected by injury. The physicality of the Glenelg game the week before took its toll on Jarrett Mears' boys, with 5 first-choice players unavailable. One of those players was Ryan Simister. His round 2 injury opened the door for Nick Hyde to get noticed. From the South Australian Mallee country, Nick knows all about hard work and he worked tirelessly throughout, rucking the entire game for the Bloods. With 25 hit-outs for the match and 8 effective kicks out of 8, Nick showed the depth of talent that coach Mears has to choose from. But by far the best player on the park was the captain and centreman, Oliver Johnson. MVP from round 1, Oliver was also outstanding in round 3. His disposal count reads like a cricket scoreboard. 26 kicks and 18 handballs with 7 incursions inside 50. From the Flinders Park Football Club, Oliver had 3 stints in the reserves last season, and he's been recommended for state duty this year, having attended the state draft camp in February. He's one of 6 Bloods players in the preliminary state squad, and as he turns 18 later this year, he's keen to make every kick count in 2012. He even managed to get his name on the score sheet after being nicely set up by Ryan Dykesman. From Roxby Downs way up north, Tom Schott had a blinder on the wing for the visitors. Tom showed good form through the pre-season trial games, and he's continued that form in the under-18 season with 26 disposals and a bag of goal assists. The Dogs are already struggling with back-to-back defeats this year, but Brock Castry is doing his best to change things up north. Brock from the Golden Grove Football Club matched Oliver Johnson's possession count kick for kick, also notching up 44 disposals for the match. But there were no multiple goal kickers for Central District. It's going to be a long season of player development for David Harvey's Bulldogs. Westies are over at the Prospect Oval right now playing a Roosters team that Jared Mears has a lot of respect for. Truly a battle of the under-18 giants. All the highlights from that match next week. But at the Elizabeth Oval, it was Westies by 79 points over Central District. With all the other under-18 matches played on Easter Thursday, the boys from Glenelgan North were denied a long weekend, fronting up for a Saturday afternoon fixture at the Bay. And the Roosters certainly weren't on holidays. These boys were very much at the office over Easter. And it was one of North's overage players, Matthew Schmidt, making the most of the Easter weekend with a spectacular resurrection of his own in just his second game back after an ankle injury that threatened his entire football career. And after a pre-season with the senior squad, Matthew was ready for whatever the Roosters throw at him. He delivered the goods on Saturday with 28 disposals and 1 goal. Winning more than just this game was Campbell Coombe from Crystal Brook. Winning a scholarship to Prince Alfred College, Campbell is in his first season with the under-18s. He played in the under-16 state squad last year, and he's likely to gain selection into the under-18 state squad this year. Brendan Phillips, watch this kid. And speaking of watching, this mark from Sam De Leonardis is worth watching a few times. When he's switched on, Sam is an extraordinary asset to the Roosters. He was certainly switched on this weekend with 25 disposals and 2 goals. And it must be the season for weddings because another key player was absent from the under-18 competition on Saturday. This time it was Zach Makins, who was at his brother's wedding. It gave Bradley Koch the chance to taste SANFL football at this level for the first time. From Blackfriars, Bradley seized the day with 8 decent tackles and even a goal on debut. Well done to Bradley. The Tigers were once again well served by Simon Trenorden's young prodigy, Luke Trenorden. With 11 disposals and 2 goals, Luke was voted best on ground for round 3. And Alex Neil Bullen is making the most of his move up from the under-16s. His 11 kicks and 3 handballs were a sign of things to come from the youngster from the Plympton Football Club in Adelaide's southwest. But in the present day, it was North Adelaide rising up to take the spoils to wrap up the Easter weekend. Big winners over the Tigers by 69 points.